Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Excalibur Roundtable Tech Talk Extended Series. I am Mike Fuson, and I'm joined by Tom Petley from Halo. Tom, thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always fun to get together and talk about Halo and some of the great things that are going on. One of the things that comes up a lot as we're talking to customers about the Halo platform is its capabilities, really not from a, can I do incident management, change management, or HR or whatever. Those are all things that it can very easily do and come out of the box, but is its ability to be flexible. We've talked about certain verticals that have, in many cases, somewhat unique requirements. Healthcare, the energy industry, and we're talking here primarily in North America. I'm sure this applies elsewhere in the world as well, but healthcare, energy, and finance tend to have a lot of regulatory requirements, or they may have governing bodies that have set certain standards where it can make it complicated for them to stand up certain systems. And a system like Halo or any ITSM system for that matter is going to probably have data in it or things people are asking for that fall under some sort of regulatory requirement. And so we get asked in a lot of times when we're doing discovery with customers is, do I have the ability to run a platform on site? And so many systems in today's world are only available as a cloud-hosted solution. Halo is available as a cloud-hosted solution, but one of the unique things that you guys did in designing Halo is it can also, the exact same structure that's set in a cloud-hosted scenario can be run on premise and quite easily.
Absolutely, yeah. It's something that we've always had in our kind of DNA. Was we always said we wanted people to be able to host it on premise. Even as the industry went towards cloud, it's something that we didn't want to lose sight of that, because there are many organizations that cloud is just simply not an option. Talk about regulatory requirements or security requirements, or even just a preference internally, or integration with lots of on-premise tools and things like that. It would take a lot of work to integrate with cloud systems. So there's loads of different reasons for wanting to go on-premise, and it's always been our mantra to kind of offer that as a solution for people. And
upgrading and everything else is just as easy as it is in the cloud. I know, because we played with it. We have our little virtual machine sandboxes that have a Halo instance for us to try out different things. Very easily upgradable. But that's something that as we're talking about can be key. And you make a good point. It could just be a preference from an organization. We've seen many organizations that are in the industries we talked about, healthcare, energy, and finance, have large data center footprints because of some of the regulatory or data protection requirements they have, and they want to control things. And they may ask the question, well, we could cloud host it, but we have our own infrastructure that then we can control everything end to end. Is that an option? And for many of the tools that are out there, our contemporaries, that's not an option. There is really, or if it is, it's a nightmare option. It's something that can be done. If there were no other options, it's going to be extremely painful. And Halo was designed, and there only are a couple of other platforms I can think of where this was really the thought from the beginning, is the ability to give the customer choice.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the key things, is having the thought from the beginning, because we've built Halo on all your standard Microsoft framework. It uses Microsoft SQL Server, it uses IIS, it runs on kind of Microsoft .NET, .NET Core. So it's using all things that people already have. It's not like you've got to go and spin up Linux environments or anything like that. It's all just standard stuff, and it's almost normally just a case of kind of adding Halo into the SQL cluster and kind of spinning up virtual machines and things like that. And it's all just standard things, really. It's nothing complicated at all, and it's just an alternative option. It's not something that we don't really suggest one way or the other, really, cloud or on-premise. It's just whatever the preference is.
And that's the key, right? It's something that I get so excited about. You know, when you and I talk about what Halo is doing, the core of that, the reason for that is it's all about the customer. What does the customer want, and how do we make sure that the customer can get what they need? It's, you know, it is literally in your DNA as an organization.
We've spoken about it a few times on these tech talks. Kind of that's our approach to customer first, and we often talk about it in the sense of the software, kind of the way we develop the software, but it's also the kind of infrastructure and the way we actually think behind the scenes is kind of in that customer first kind of mentality, and it just kind of feeds into everything really.
Well, I get so excited about. I mean, this seems like something that's small, right? Because you know, some of our contemporaries that are out there that don't have it as an option go, oh, you know, what's the big deal? I think it's a pretty huge distinction that you can do it, and the ability to move from, well, you know, hey, cloud hosting is now an option for us. It's something that we're starting to move towards, and we've been on premise. The ability to move that, because it's all built on a common infrastructure.
That's something that's probably isn't talked about enough, actually, is how we call it portable Halo is. The way it's just the infrastructure, the way it's designed, it can be moved. So even if it could be a migration from on-premise to cloud, but it could also be an internal migration that maybe, moving data centers and things like that. It's very, very portable. So you can have all the environments set up in advance, and you just move in the database basically.
Absolutely, you know, and that's the, you know, I don't want to say it's the genius behind it, but it is really the proof of that the customers thought about first in all of the decisions that are made to really deliver the solution that's going to work. You and I had a conversation recently on a prospective customer that's really excited about Halo, but there's a particular integration that they need. You know, this is common conversations that the Excalibur team has with the Halo team. And Tom's response was not, well, that's on our roadmap for, you know, 2023. Tom said, let's take a look at it. I don't think that integration would be difficult if that's what the customer needs. Let's get the team together. Let's get the integration spun up. Because it'll benefit, you know, once the integration's done, it'll benefit anybody else that now wants to have that. You guys kind of have that thought of what's going to benefit the customer. It's so exciting because it is something that everybody says it's customer first, but then you look at the roadmap and something that'd be really cool is still, you know, 14 months away. Which means it's probably really 18 months away. You know, when you start to get to those extended roadmaps.
I think we are quite quick at developing. I think it's the way we work is we're very agile in all our processes, and we're scheduling. We do leave an allowance on each sprint. So we work to sprints. I think as most software companies probably do nowadays. We do leave an allowance for kind of these real features that come up. Even it could be something that like an integration, which is something that the customer or prospective customer requires. But it could also be something that's great that someone suggests, the customer suggests, and we think that's brilliant. Right. It might not be a requirement. It might just be thinking, that's such a good feature, we should add that in. So we always leave a bit of capacity that we can kind of slip kind of features in if something really great pops up, or kind of one of these kind of, I guess, red line requirements comes up. So we tend to be pretty quick at developing, and we also tend to stick to our roadmap because we're not kind of we're making sure we're not going to move those deadlines, because it's so frustrating when people kind of, we find it as well. We use other software obviously, and when deadlines are moved, it's really frustrating. So we try and make sure we don't move any.
Well, you know, it's one of the many reasons we fell in love with Halo. For you folks that are watching, we'd love, you know, reach out to the Excalibur team. We'd love to talk to you about Halo. Get Tom on the line from across the pond, and let's jam about Halo and take a look at what Halo can do for your organization. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Tom, as always, it's a pleasure. And I look forward to our next chat.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.